Hello everyone. You would see on the title about Islam, and yes, sure, and we are living in a lot of things, and all the people around the world are confused about Islam, and there are very many kinds of Islam, and this is not so bad for the people who converted to Islam, and the new converted people to Islam should know the right Islam. That there is a lot of questions they will put you, but when you get somebody in the United States or in Europe or in non-Muslim countries, when somebody is convinced by Islam and when he accepted the Islam and to be converted to this religion, and then they start to make a lot of things around his. So you have to let your beard, and you have to wear the Muslim clothes, and you have I don't know why. So, and the circumcision also, but the people now with 42 and 45 and 50 years who converted to Islam, I don't know why they told him that the circumcision, it's not necessary, really. It doesn't exist in the religion, doesn't exist in the Quran. Circumcision doesn't exist in Quran, doesn't exist in Hadith. There's nothing said about the circumcision. But people now are, I don't know, really urging people to do the circumcision, that to be a Muslim, not by the circumcision, to be a Muslim. About Islam, when you ask anybody you can meet in the street, that you ask him, what do you know about Islam? Or if he is Muslim, he will tell you that the prayer, the Ramadan, the fasting Ramadan, and the pilgrimage, and also Shahadatan. Yeah, the 5 things. There is not only 5 things in Islam, please. There is a lot of things and hundreds of things in the Holy Quran, not only the 5, And these 5, are really hiding the real Islam and the real what we should do about what our God subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us and stated everything for us. They commanded us to do. And so with the help of our God, that we can do everything in this world. But you will see that our God will punish us, and our God send a lot of messages to us that for we can pray and for not doing any sin and so on. But this is not a good speech, And so our God is not really at this level. I don't know. I don't know. So. But that the people who are now newly converted, they should pay attention to anybody. They should not follow the people, they should follow the Quran. And I have to tell these new converted people that there is only one Islam. There is now 2 wahis. There is only one book called the Holy Quran, and this had been revealed to our Prophet ﷺ, and all things are described in this book. And it should not be completed by anything else. Now, people now are trying to introduce a lot of other writings. We don't know where they are from, and they are now introducing them as a second wahi. This is the first wahi, and they will tell you Quran and Sunnah. It's not true. There is Quran only. The book who had been revealed to our Prophet ﷺ is Quran, the Holy Quran, and only the Quran, nothing else, please. And these new converted people, they should really, seek for the right people to show them and to teach them some rules and some recommendations from Islam for they should to do to worship our God. They have to know by themselves, and they can't discover everything by themselves. So now we are living in the epoch now, the time of technology and digital, and the scientific progress in our epoch now. We are living in this, and the Quran now is far from this technology. Is ignored, is forgotten, and is now really is neglected. Quran. There is no Quran in our life, and everything had been described sharply and accurately by our God in this book. Well, the problem that was at that time, that the time the Quran has been revealed to our Prophet ﷺ, people, there is no science, no laboratory, no research, nothing. They don't know anything about that. So they explained Quran only by the language, only by the Arabic and by literature. And there is a literature, explanation only by the language. You cannot explain only this. And all the scientific phenomena described in the Quran are not explained until now. So far, all the scholars now were telling people about the ibadah and about how to worship our God and so on. And they are telling and they making a speech who is far from the Quran, from all the realities and the truth that should be taught to our people now, in our time, now in the technology and also the scientific progress. And this book, unfortunately, is not explained. Until now, it's not explained. You can find some literature in explanations, that the traditional, and it's now, I don't know, 12 centuries now, explanation of Quran, 12 centuries now. And we cannot, it's not acceptable. We cannot accept that explanation what had been now 12 centuries before. And it had made by people who didn't study anything in science. They didn't know anything about the world and about the science. And even all of the science is not science. That the biology, the chemistry, the physics, the mathematics, and the astronomy, and a lot of things were now described in our Quran, in this Holy Quran, but they couldn't explain them at that time. Now they are still making this book as a religious book. They are not accepting that we should explain it by scientifically and to show the people the power of the Quran. Without the science, without the scientific explanation of this book, you will never understand Islam. Please pay attention and please be careful about what they tell you. And also, you have to get smart to do things yourself. Without the scientific explanations of all the phenomena described in this book, they are well described by our God, but we should discover and we should explore this descriptions and also all the messages, the scientific messages included in this book. We are not really exploring the Quran. You know that more than 70% of the descriptions of Quran are scientific, purely scientific. And they cannot understand them, these scholars who studied literature only, no science, no mathematics, no physics, no biology, nothing. And they cannot, and they could not at that time, and still now, they cannot explain Quran. That because people now, scholars now, who are talking about Quran and about Islam, are all people who studied only literature, no science. And this is the problem. The big problem is that. But I should tell you about there is in the history, since the 2nd century of the Hijr, since the 2nd century of the Hijr, science exploded, emerged. With chemistry of Jabir ibn Hayyan. Geber started. So 145, 450, that Geber has described all the chemical elements with the symbols and with reactions, and he synthesized many acids and many solutions, many chemical solutions and many chemical compounds. Since that time until Ibn Rushd, Ibn Rushd is the 6th century of Hijr. About 6 centuries of science, progress science. Averroes and Avicenna and Ibn Tufayl and Ibn Zar and Jabir ibn Hayyan and all of them, that the civilization, the Islamic civilization, was with the science, not literature. When they stopped science, that because these guys who studied only literature has stopped the scientific explanation of Quran. They prohibited the scientific explanation of Quran at that time with Ibn Rushd, with Averroes. And that Averroes, the philosophy of Averroes had been translated to all the languages in Europe. And they use it. They are not civilized people, and we are now underdeveloped people. All the Muslim countries are underdeveloped. Do you know why? That because only they neglected science in the Quran. And they only Sharia only. The literature in Quran only. And only Sharia. And at that time Ibn Taymiyyah said, we don't need mathematics. We don't need mathematics. We need Sharia only. And we can live with Sharia. And this is wrong. This is wrong. And we're still making some mistakes, and we are still following these people. That because our problem came, all the problems came from these people who refused, who rejected, and who didn't accept that the Quran be explained scientifically and by science. And he burned all the books of other ways. He burned all the books of other ways. And he banned, he prohibited, that philosophy and mathematics and sciences at that time. He prohibited people to learn philosophy and science at that time. And only Sharia. He allowed people to learn only Sharia. And I have to explain to all these people who do not speak Arabic, and they should know a lot of better truths and also disgusting realities in our history. Now that's that in the epoch of otherwise and the epoch of the scientific people, they were expert in Sharia and Quran. They were expert in many sciences and in philosophy. And we can't call them this, we can't call them really the real researchers and the really scientists. But now science, until now, science is not accepted in Quran because the people who talk about the Quran now, involved in the field of religion studies and religion, philosophy, still now, until now, they don't accept that Quran be explained scientifically. And we have a big problem with them now. There is a war between scientific people and also the people who studied only Sharia. A big war now, but that the scientific people now are not really, they don't pay attention to these, but the people who studied only Sharia now, are really getting disturbed by this, because they don't know anything about the science, and now we are living in our epoch is science only, and you cannot live in this life without science. Our God subhanahu wa ta'ala provided us with all things in this world, but also with a good mind, with a brain. Our body, you have hands, you have feet, nose, mouth, ears, eyes, and hair, and head, and shoulders, and everything. But you have brain, and the brain is the most important part in your body, because the brain is the mind. We give the mind in this that you can imagine, you can think, and you can make invention, you can learn, and you can do everything with your brain. If you work only with your body, you are like an animal. Because all the animals, they don't work with the mind, they work only with the body. They are eating and they are sleeping, and they are living in a wildlife in the forest. But if you live with your body only, and you don't put on your mind, that you are living like an animal. But you should live with your mind, that because our God subhanahu wa ta'ala distinguished us with the mind from the other creatures. And the mind should work. And you have to put on your mind, your brain should work. You are breathing with your nose, you are eating with your mouth, and you are seeing with your eyes, and you are hearing with your ears, and so on. You are working with your hands, and you are working with feet. But you should do something with your brain also. And this you should look and you should seek for the reality, for the truth in this world. And you should know by yourself everything about your God, everything by yourself about your life. Why do we exist in this life? Why do we exist in this world? That we exist for something, And sure, there is an end that we can live, so eternity. But there is an end, and this end is, you should know what we are created first, and then what the worship, what the ibadah. Why should we worship our God? You have to find your God yourself, by yourself. And you have to reach the God by yourself. And nobody can explain you, and nobody can say us. Sure, the prophets guide us only. The prophets guide us only. Information only. But they should not oblige us now to think of our God, or to recognize our God, or to say that we are our God. Yeah, sure, that's all of you, they will say that, yes, we are created by our God, but only orally. It's oral. But you should reach it by your mind, really. And you should feel that our God subhanahu wa ta'ala exists and had created in this world, everything in this world. This is the philosophy of Averroes. And this is why the books of Averroes have been burned. And this is our problem, that you should think that all the people now who are converted to Islam, there is a God and you should worship your God and you should be afraid about your God. And this is orally only, oral only, but not inside you. And it should come from the inside of you, and you should reach your God yourself by your mind. And you have the capability of reaching your God. All the people, and this had said by Ibn Tufayl. Ibn Tufayl said this: all the people on this earth, all the people in this world, can reach the God by themselves, without anything. And this is very strong to know. Why all the people now, all the people should be Muslims, all the people should worship. Islam was, since the man has been created. Jesus Christ was a Muslim. Moses was a Muslim. Noah was a Muslim. And so David was a Muslim. Solomon was a Muslim. Islam was, the religion is usually called Islam, And this is recognized by all the prophets that they were Muslims. So it's said in the Quran, it's also said in the Bible also, and all the Evangel and all the books. There is no difference between all the books revealed by our God. There is no difference, no contradiction, no discrepancy. You cannot find the discrepancy because now the origin is the same. Is God who had revealed all these books. And the people are saying that the Bible, there is a discordance between the Bible and the Quran. Is not true. What's said in the Bible is said in the Quran. But the true Bible, that's because it had been modified, I don't know. So, but we cannot find the discrepancy between the books. It's not true. All the books are the same. All the books are from our God. And all the books are for us, for the humankind. And now, unfortunately, we were following in Islam. It's not the right Islam. It's not the right Islam. Not because the people had a long beard and they are wearing Muslim clothes and they make a chaplet subha, and so also the ladies are putting the burqa and they are good Muslims, and doesn't. No, it's not true. Islam is not outside the body. Islam is not a cover of the body. Islam is inside the body. This is very important to know, and you have to get it. Islam is inside the body, not outside the body. Not by clothes, by the beard, no. Inside. Our God subhanahu wa ta'ala concentrates also, they point in many verses in the Quran. He pointed out to the heart and to the brain. Only two things. To the heart and to the brain. And there is a big relationship between the heart and the brain. So, and now, since we are equipped, our God subhanahu wa ta'ala equipped us with the mind, with the brain. And we have to do everything by ourselves. We don't need anybody, so. Sure that we will learn in school and we will learn a lot of things, and people who knows a lot of things should teach other people. Yeah, sure. This is our life. This is the relationship between people now. But the relationship between the creators, all the creators, not only the man, not only man, but and our God is something else. Nobody should interact between you and your God. If you want to ask your God, ask it directly your God. Do not tell anybody about your problems. Tell directly your God. If you have a problem, ask your God to guide you and to help you to find the solution. To not follow another body. It's not, that's theology in the other religion before Islam. So Judaism, Christianism, and so on, they were theology. What is theology? You have no right to ask. You should believe in God, full stop. And you should not ask about God or about anything, about paradise or about nothing, no question. But Islam, no. Islam, you have to ask about everything. Why should we pray? Why should we fast Ramadan? Why should we do pilgrimage? And why should, give zakat? So, to the poor people and to, people who are in need. Yeah. Why? Yes. Islam so insists on this, and our God stressed it in the Quran. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. That you should ask about everything, that because our God subhanahu wa ta'ala provides us with the mind, with the brain, and you should use it yourself. Do not give it to another body. Do not follow another brain. We have all brains, and if you follow somebody, so you put your brain off and you follow another brain, you are working with another brain. Do not do that. Please use your brain yourself. Please your mind yourself. Do not follow another mind. Follow your mind, your own mind. You are capable and you are able to do all things, and you are able to understand all things, but only if you really do it properly and in the right way, and you can understand everything in this world without any problem and without difficulties and any problem. Sure. And now you know that people are split. All the Muslims around the world are split. We have Sunnah, we are Shia, and inside Sunnah we are many Jama'ah, and every Jama'ah said that we are the right Jama'ah in the Islam. What does it mean? So it's not true. They are all lying, because Tawheed is the main word in Islam, and since we are hundreds and thousands of Jama'at, of teams, and they are all saying that we are the right one, that they didn't understand Islam. These people cannot understand Quran, cannot understand Islam. Unfortunately, that's Islam that should gather us, unify us, should gather us. It should not dispatch us. It should not really make us in different teams and different Jama'at and different tendencies also and currents and political currents and Islam, political Islam and so on. That we should be on the same way. We should be on the same way, the right Islam. And what we are doing now in our life, please check this, check what I say. What we are doing now, what we are doing as a right Islam, and we are really very happy, and we are glad to do it, and we are really so, But the big question, is it the right Islam? What we are doing now, is it the right Islam? Please go and read all the verses about Salat, about the prayer. Read it in this book. And you will find that what has been described about prayer is different what we are doing. The prayer we are doing now is different from the prayer described in the Quran. Be sure, and you can check yourself. Go and read it. So, are we really fasting Ramadan in the right way? Really? From the dusk to the... from the sunrise, not before the sunrise, no, really? Ramadan, yes. Ramadan described in this book is different with Ramadan we are doing now, really, this world, really. And pilgrimage, all the people go to Mecca and make tawaf and make the pilgrimage in 3 days and so on. They follow in manasik, what we call them the manasik is different stages in that you should obey and you should really confirm by going there in time and in space. This in time and in space, in 3 days, and many spaces in Mecca. You have Minan, you have Arafat, you have Muzdalifah, and you have Jamarat, and then to Mecca. Yeah, but the pilgrimage people are now doing is not described here. It's not the pilgrimage described here, is different. Here we don't find the rajm. They are really shooting the shaitan, which it doesn't exist here. It doesn't exist. And this for why I'm now saying about that we are now far from this book. We are not using what our God subhanahu wa ta'ala had revealed to us in this book. Not really, not really. We are using something else who had been invented and written by other people just to make this Quran off and to work with what they call the Sunnah. And we don't know when the Sunnah come from. We don't know, really, we don't know. And nobody can confirm it. And they said that the same origin, Quran and Sunnah are the same origin. It's not true. The only one sure origin and the only one certain origin is Quran. What we call it naql sahih al-aqli. But other thing else is not true. And all the new converted and all the people who do not understand Arabic and are converted to Islam, they pay attention. You are learning a wrong Islam. Please don't pay attention. Go to Quran and read Quran. You can look for the meaning. I know that you have a bad translation in English and in many languages, but try to find the right yourself. Please go and check all the verses about Salat, about the prayer in Quran. You will find that it's different. What is described here is not the prayer we are doing. Really, it's different. In time and in practice, in the exercise. It's not really, it doesn't really resemble the prayer described in this book. And also all the Faraid, what they call them, the Faraid, the 5 pillars of Islam. There's not 5 pillars. Why 5 pillars of Islam? Why not hundreds and thousands pillars of Islam? Everything is important, not only 5 things in Islam. Everything described in this book, look, number the pages, the number of pages of this book. And people do not know anything about this. They are reading Quran and they are listening to Quran. And Quran is not a voice. Quran is something else that you should understand it and you should study it and you should ask yourself about everything you read in Quran. And you have to find the answer, the right answer, the right response to your questions about Quran. It's not to be read and we shall listen to Quran. It had not been revealed only for reading. It's not true. There is a big discrepancy. There is a big contradiction that Quran, all this book, no. It's a big book. And it had been only revealed to be read. When we read it, no. It's for something else. This is our book of the life. Everything in our life is described here. And you have to pay attention to all the regulations and all the laws described by our God, yourself, by yourself. And if you follow this book, you will live happily, really will live happily, and you will be very happy, very glad in your life. And what we call it, the balance between the soul and the body. You should find this balance between the soul and the body. You should live with your body, eating and moving and laughing and listening to, I don't know, music or no, and also living with your mind. You should think, you should write, you should search, you should seek for the reality and a lot of things that you can examine and you can to explore what you want in this book. This is the right Islam, is to go through this book, to get any reality and any truth about what you are doing in this life. And all the aspects of life are described here. And do not forget, please keep it in mind, that 70% of the descriptions of Quran are scientific descriptions. And these scientific explanations and descriptions in this book cannot be explained by people who studied literature only. It's not possible. And it doesn't make sense that somebody who didn't study anything about the many aspects of science like physics and chemistry, mathematics, and so medicine, so astronomy, and he will read something now to describe, to describe the rain, to describe the mountains, to describe the nature, to describe a lot of things that he cannot understand. He cannot understand why all these explanations cannot be found in Ibn Kathir, Tabari, Qurtubi. We'll find a lot of books and books and books, but you will find nothing there. Many writing about some stories, they will tell a story about the verse, they will tell you only 2 words about the meaning of the ayah, of the verse, and then stories. You will find some verses here, 15 to 20 pages, only stories, only history, no explanation. Sorry. And I think that now we are looking really, we are seeking for a scientific explanation, and we are now going back to this book just to explore all the realities, all the truth, and all the scientific. There is a scientific progress. And look at the time that from Geber to Ibn Tufayl, to Ibn Rushd to Averroes, from Geber to Averroes, 6 centuries of civilization, of progress, scientific progress, in medicine, in many sciences, in many aspects of life. That since, since they put the scientific explanation off, they turned off the scientific explanation, they rejected it. And there was a war also, there was a war between the philosophers, between the scientists and also the fuqaha, the scholars, the Sharia, people who studied Sharia. So, and that was our problem. That the Islam fell down when they stopped science. And now we became nothing because we neglected the scientific explanation in Quran. And Quran is not a religious book. It's the book of life. And we should do everything through the Quran to be a good Muslim.